All right, and welcome back to my barn house bathroom renovation. Today is day 11, and yesterday I got the rest of the subway tiles installed in the shower, the ones that were where the ledger board was. I removed the ledger boards and put them down there. I also installed this little corner shower shelf here, and then we also were able to fit and install the underlayment to get ready for tiles. And then I had to put in some seam filler, and I forgot they had to dry overnight. So I won't be able to get to the floors until today. But before I put the floors down, because once they go down, I don't want to walk on them for a while. So I'm going to try to get some smaller details done in here first, and then deal with the floors. And then I'll have to do some other stuff not in the bathroom, probably some, maybe work on the shelves again, or maybe the mirror, or something else outside. So anyway, let me get these done and then start working on the floor. First things first, I'll remove all the tape and see how well that shower shelf is hanging. I think it's pretty good. And I'll remove my super high-tech, oh look at that, it wasn't even really holding it up there. So I guess it slept on me a little bit overnight, but I think it's okay. I'll double check level on this, but I'm pretty sure that I have it where the water will still flow out. So that is really close to perfect wig level horizontally, and then perfect. Yep, it slopes down, so it's just what we wanted. I did notice a little bit of the mortar poked out here, so I'm going to chip away just a little bit of that just to clean it up, so that whenever we grout and caulk, it won't be like a huge mound right there. Check the bottom too. Now I'll go ahead and pull the tape off the bottom tiles. I think they will be okay down there too. Just being super careful. I don't want to mess up my subway tiles. That's just about good enough. Just getting rid of just a little bit, so when I caulk it won't be too crazy there. So I'll finish that out and then I'll pull the tape. Yeah, these tiles are on really nice now, so basically it's ready to grout. I don't think I'll get to it today though. It'll probably be a different day. And that's what that seam filler looks like after it dried. It's really gritty now, very sandy. So I'll have to sweep up the floor before I put any glue or tiles down. But I won't mess with that right now. I'll do a few more things where I can still walk around the floor. And the first one is I want to put up the light up here, hang it up. Hopefully, like I mentioned a few videos back, I can shift it to the right about a ½ inch. And then also, we're going to get rid of the switches. We painted over them, but we didn't like them anyway. We really hate those beige switches, so I'm going to take those out. And then there's one over here as well. And then this right here, since it's so close to the sink, I'm going to put a ground fault outlet in there and swap them out. And then I could probably sweep up the floor and start messing with it. I just went down and shut off our breaker to the bathroom, but I want to double check, make sure power's off. It's not lighting up, so I think we're good. So we'll see if I can get that thing up there. So I mentioned before, I should be able to slide this ring on there and then use the little slots to actually move it to the right. Now this should be like the easiest thing in the world, but this is exactly the kind of problem we've had the entire renovation, is that when we took this light off, I lost the screws that fit in there, and the two smallest ones I have are still too big to actually screw into it, so I'm gonna have to stop and run to the store just for a couple little screws, probably 80 cents or whatever, you know. And oh, I'm gonna have to waste like 20 minutes to go do that, but I can't get it up there otherwise, and this should be super simple. So I'm gonna try this little tiny hardware store in town and hopefully save me some time. It's 1/3 hardware store, 1/3 tanning salon, and 1/3 liquor store, so I don't know. We'll see if they have what I need. Alright, well there we go. Two 632 screws, 26 cents, and probably about 10 or 15 minutes of my time. Alright, there we go. Much better. These actually fit. So, man, it should have been so easy, but I just didn't have any of those tiny 632 screws. So I'll put this on, and hopefully the light will mount up no problem now. Got my ground hooked up. Now I'm just looking at my power wires. Hopefully this thing will work. I guess I could test it before I officially mount it, just to know for sure. Alright, I'll throw a bulb in there and just check it first. I tested it out and it works, and I went ahead and mounted it and it looks pretty good. So now I'll move on to light switches and knock them out. So the light switches are going in pretty easily. I've got new white ones to replace the beige. And such an easy thing, but it still takes up time. I forgot how much time they took up when we did our original renovation on our house. We redid every single light switch and outlet, and I bet we spent almost a full day just doing that. I mean, there was a lot, but seemed so simple, but it still takes up time. So this outlet right here has been giving me fits. I can't get the wires pulled out, so I'm actually snipping them a little bit short. But you can compare my new GFCI outlet. You can see it's way beefier. And this one is set up so that anything that's plugged into it, if it contacts water, it'll immediately shut off. It's like its own little breaker. So that's really good to have next to a sink. And this is just old school here, probably from the 70s. They didn't have that back then. So I'm just replacing that. It should be simple, but it's not, because I have to cut all these wires. But then I'll just shove them in there and tighten these up and it'll be fine. All right, there we go. And I'm gonna go ahead and turn the power back on and test everything before I mount everything solid, because this one's gonna be really hard to get in there, shoving all that wire back there with the huge body. So anyway, I'll test it and hopefully I don't burn the house down. My wife had to go back to work today. Her vacation's over, so I'm here by myself, so I hope I don't get electrocuted. So let me test it out. All right, that one worked in the shower. That one worked. And then, nothing. So I think I mixed it up. This one did have 3 wires, a black, a white, and a red. I think I got the red and the white backwards, so I'll have to swap that one around. And I think this is like the same switch, and I think I did the same thing. So let me swap them around and try it again. Well, I have determined that I am not good at electrical. I can get the shower one to work, but I can't get these to work for nothing. So I'm just gonna give up on them for now. I can't spend any more time on that, and I gotta get these floors going. So I'm gonna sweep them up and then start figuring out the layout for all the tiles and then get the glue, because it has to set a while before I can actually stick the tiles to it. So I'm just going to move on to the flooring. So the first thing I did was found the true center of our floor here. So it's 8 feet long. So that line right there is at 48. All right, now this line I determined by the widest point of the room, which is between that wall and this wall, which is 50, I'm trying to remember now, 56 inches, I believe. So halfway is 28, and that's this line right here. So that is the absolute true center if this room was a rectangle. Now it looks a little goofy right now because it's so close to the wall, so you kind of want to find center and work out. That way when you get towards edges, you can cut your tiles to fit, and that way you don't have a full tile here, and then when you get over here, you have one that's like 2 inches wide. You know what I mean? They could both get cut evenly and look even. But you kind of want to work around the room and decide what's going to look best. So even if I just started my squares here, just put one, butted against those lines, one butted against those, and worked out, it would look goofy over here. I'd have, 2 or 3 tiles, whatever it is, wide over here, and then a little skinny one right there. So what I'm going to do is adjust everything. So I'm actually going to center my tile right on this line. So half the tile will be over here, half the tile will be over here, but I will butt the end against my 48 inch. So the next thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and lay out a few tiles and just get an idea of what it's going to look like and see if that's for sure what I want to do with them. So these are the tiles we're going to use. VCT tiles, vinyl composite tile. All right, this is obviously it's made of vinyl. This is 12 inches by 12 inches. This is like the old school flooring you'd see in an old diner or maybe in like a mid-century house's basement. It's also the flooring you see in a lot of stores like grocery stores, Target, Walmart. If you look closely, it'll be a bunch of squares like this. It's really durable, it's super cheap. Each square is 62 cents. I mean, it is kind of old school. There's, a seam around everywhere. It's not real tile, so I mean, whatever, but we like this look. This is what we used in our downstairs bathroom. We used a gray down there, and then in our kitchen and dining room, we used black tiles and white tiles in a checker pattern. We just really like the look, and they're pretty fun to put down. They look really cool. So we had a bunch of leftovers, so we're going to use all of the colors in here, so black, white, and gray, and we're going to do it in kind of a sort of a checker pattern. It's more of like a diagonal stripe, really, when we get it done. So anyway, to kind of determine the layout, after I had my center point determined right there, all right, I said that I was going to put my tiles halfway across. Now downstairs, like in our kitchen and dining room when we found center, we started our tiles by actually just butting them in a corner like this, all right? So then we did a full line, went on to the next line, when those are dry, then we moved over here, went on and on and on. But I think the layout in this room would look better, like I mentioned earlier, and it's the way that the original peel and stick tiles were, is to be at this halfway point. All right, so then, just to make sure my length looks okay, I'm going to butt them end to end. And it works out great in this room because it's 8 feet long, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 right at the halfway point, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Really nice. They're not going to need a lot of cutting. This one on the end might just a little bit, just to fit around our wood flooring, so just barely trim some off. But for the most part, it looks good. All right, so the other thing you got to figure out is how do you want them shifted? Do I want the line here? Do I want my middle line over this way a little more? You just got to kind of figure that out. Now, part of our reason for going here is because we have a lot of black and white tiles, but we only have exactly enough gray tiles to do with it shifted like this. So we're going to have it over this way. Plus, I think it looks fairly balanced. I mean, these black ones, that center line I drew is the exact center between that whitest wall and this one over here. And, you know, like if you're standing to use the vanity or whatever, you're going to be kind of standing here. And then it's basically 3 tiles wide over here with just a little bit trimmed off one. So I think it looks pretty balanced. It's not centered, you know, compared to this little hallway, compared to this part, but overall compromised, I think it looks good. So anyway, I like how this is set up. Of course, we'll have to cut around everything, which is really easy, and I'll show you how to do that. So I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and pull all these away and clean the floor really well again one more time, and then get it prepped for glue. So even though I swept it earlier, I'm going to sweep it again, and you can see I'm still picking more up. So after I do this, I'm also going to try to really, really lightly damp mop it. So just barely any water at all in the mop, and just to get up some of this, because when I did my kitchen and dining room, I swept it really well, we vacuumed it, but there were still just little tiny little grains of sand or dirt or whatever everywhere, and it really shows through this stuff. So I'm going to see if just a very slight mop will help it. Okay, I think that's helping a little bit. And one last thing I did was here at the center point, I'm not going to use this line anymore because I want to center these up. So I just kind of scratched it out, and I drew a new one over 6 inches to the right, so that way I can actually line my corner up there. And see how this is a little bit off, then I can adjust my line like that, and see now we're nice and straight. Probably needs to come up a little bit like that. There we go. Yeah, see now it's super nice and straight, and that first piece that's going to go down is the most important, so you want to make sure it is exactly where you want to go. So now I got the floors cleaned, I got my new line drawn to keep everything straight, I'm ready for glue. Here's the glue I'm using. It's made for vinyl composition tile. And on the back it says what size trowel to use. So you can see it's a little tiny trowel. And basically just spread some on, and you want to trowel it smooth and make sure there's no ridges in it. The other thing is that you only want to put on enough that you can work in a few minutes. So I'm going to start at my line, I'm going to work towards me, and I'm making sure there's a door behind me so I can get out of here. And I'll put as much on that I can reach. Fortunately, since our room has a door on both sides, I should be able to get a full half of the room with glue, and then it has to set. It might take 30 minutes to kind of tack up. It could take an hour. If it's really humid, maybe a few hours. But basically, it's, you know, kind of creamy, buttery now. But when it tacks up, you can see through it, and when you touch it, it won't come off on your finger. That's when it's ready. And then supposedly you have about 24 hours to actually work with it. So if you had a huge area, you could do a lot, you know, spread it on a big part of it where you could reach without having to actually step on it, and then let it sit for a while until you could get around to it. But I'm gonna do it as soon as possible because I just need to get it done. So I'm gonna go ahead and get going with it. Put some on, and then just trowel, real simple like that. And since this is the corner of my first piece, I'm not gonna go past that line. I don't want any glue over there to start drying. And then see how I'm troweling it here, and it's leaving a little bit of a ridge. You want to get rid of that too. So I need a lot more glue than what I'm doing right now. There we go. Spread it on. just go for it. So I'll continue doing this, and when it's tacked up, I'll kind of show you what it looks like, and then I'll show you how to actually apply the tiles. Because when you're just laying them on straight, they're super easy, but when you have to make some cuts, there's a few little tricks that makes that go by a little easier. And there's the first half applied. I just worked my way out the door and then just let it go. Although I am going to start right here, so I actually start from this side of the room and lay a few of these tiles as far as I can reach, and then I should be able to work from the door, and then if I absolutely have to, I'll kneel on the tiles here to get in the corner over there. But once they're set and all in place and custom cut and all that, then I can start moving on to this side. It shouldn't take too long. You really just got to wait for it to tack over. You can see through it now, but it still has that buttery look. But when it's ready, it'll become a lot more see-through. So anyway, now it's just a waiting game. So it's been drying for probably half an hour or so, so I'm going to check it. Nice and tacky there. It's not really coming off. But then I test it over here towards where I ended it and see how it's coming off. So it's not quite ready. Plus, I mean, even that spot right there, that light spot, you can tell is still wet. So I'll have to let it go longer, but it's almost there. So while my glue's drying and it's just about there, I've been looking at my switches here and I realized my rookie mistake. So the light and fan, exhaust fan that goes in the shower is just a single pole. That makes sense, but since there's two switches that run here, that should be a three-way switch. And I wasn't even thinking, and I was trying to wire up single poles. So I went and grabbed two three-ways, and I'll have to put them in there and then it should be fine. I'm ready to start tiling, so let me show you a couple things real quick. So the tile actually does kind of have a front and a back. See this side here? I mean, there's kind of a glare to it, but if you flip it around, see how this one's a little more glossy? This is the top. So you want to make sure they're all facing that way. I mean, you are going to put a finish on them later if you use these anyway. You kind of, there's like a clear coat you can put on them, but you want to make sure they face like that. The other thing is it kind of has a grain. If you really look at it, see how the lines, the longer ones, all go this direction? I'll show you here in this gray one. Same thing, they go that direction. So if you turn them like this, you can do like a basket weave pattern if you want. That's actually what we did down in our kitchen and dining room. And I don't remember how many of these we put down. It was like 200 or something of them or something like that. And when we got done, my wife found that I had one of them wrong, but luckily it was under the dishwasher, so you'll never see it. But the main thing when you're putting them down is to make sure they're clean. So wipe them down, especially the back, because any specks of dirt or pieces of drywall or anything like that, if it's under there, it will be amplified. So you want to make sure they're very clean when you stick them down. The other thing's even more important is to make sure the edges are super clean. They're kind of dusty in the box when you pull them out, and you don't want anything in there to cause your spacing to get off, because these are just butted together. There's no grout lines, no spacing in between. So you know, you butt them together. If it's slightly off, if you go out 20 feet, you could start getting gaps or the corners won't match or anything like that. So you want to make sure they're super clean. Now it's time to install, and I'll show you. It's actually really simple. All right, so now it's time to install my tiles, and I went ahead and wiped them down. It's just real simple. I'm gonna line up a black one to the lines. The other thing about when this glue gets tacky is it's like pressure sensitive. So once you press your tile down, it's almost not gonna come back up without ripping it up. So make sure this first tile is exactly where you want it. Like mine is a little bit past the line already, and I need to get it straight. All right. Also, I've decided to make my grain go this way across the room, because I told you before, my gray tiles, we only have just enough to do it, and a couple of them aren't even full pieces, so I'm gonna have to make them go that way anyway. So get it lined up here. All right, once it's good, let's press it down. All right, and next one is gray. All right, so I've already wiped this one down as well. Make sure the grain's going this way. I'm gonna butt it right up to the black one, and make sure that these edges are nice and flat. Lay it down, it looks good, and push it down. All right, the next one is white, and let me move here a little bit. And if you can see here, hopefully I'm not in the way, see how I have to cut some off right here? So I'll show you the trick to do that. All right, so this is the one we're gonna cut. I've already wiped it down. I'm gonna lay it on top of this gray tile right here. I'm gonna line it up perfectly to it. All right, make sure it's all lined up. And then whoops. All right, so then I'll just grab another tile. This one is just gonna be used for a template. So make sure it doesn't stick to the floor too much or anything. Just butt it up to wherever you're gonna go. I'm lining up my edge right here. And kind of like how I did the subway tiles earlier in the shower, we're gonna make a line right here, and this is the tile we're actually cutting. So to do that, let's run over it one more time. All right, pull this one up. See how it's kind of sticking already? Okay, now we got a line right there, so I'll score it a little better. All right. It might be better to do this on a piece of wood besides my underlayment, but I just gotta do it real quick here for the video. Go over it, and then you should be able to snap it kind of like drywall. All right, there we go, like that. And then just line it up on this one. Make sure that all the edges are exactly the same. And look at that, perfect fit. So that's how you make easy cuts. Uh-oh, I already see I got a little gap here, so I need to try to move it and butt it up against there. All right, there we go. Okay, that's good. All right, so I'll lay a few down, and then when I get to a more complicated cut, like around the toilet or maybe a corner or something like that, I'll show you how to do those as well. I started by putting all the easy straight ones in first that don't need any cuts, so now I'm gonna have to cut ones over here. That one has to get cut around the toilet. But right now I'll show you how to cut one that goes around a corner. So now I have a black piece that needs to fit right here, and it goes around a corner. So I'll show you how I'm gonna do it. So I'm making sure my shiny side's facing up, then the grain's going that way. I'm gonna line it up to this gray one that's gonna be right next to it. Make sure all the edges are lined up perfectly. All right. Then I'll take another one to act as my guide and set it up there, and I'll give it a little leeway because it looks like this little wall that juts out is actually a little bit angled, and it's going to be covered up anyway by our vanity. So I'm making sure the sides right here are lined up. And there we go. Okay. Now, this is my way of doing it. What I'm going to do is lay some tape on the black piece so I can actually see, and I'm going to draw some lines. Okay, so it's going to be roughly up here. So I'll just move this out of the way real quick. It's going to be somewhere around there. Okay, so now let me redo this. Line that up. All right, now I'll trace it, pen, so I can actually see what I'm doing here. All right, then I will take this edge of the tile and I'll line it up to the edge of that corner. It's going to be, and I want it to fit around and to make sure that it doesn't, you know, it's not too tight or anything, so I'll give it a little gap, maybe a 1/4 inch or so. I'm going to have 3/4 inch trim over it so I can have a little wiggle room. All right, so I know my tape is going to go there now. It's going to go about there, so I'll move this piece again. All right, there we go. Throw it on there. Okay, it's got that little bit of leeway, so now I can trace that. Okay, and then this piece is not a full piece, it's going to get cut back there. So what I'm going to do is actually transfer my black onto this black one, move it up there, and then I can figure out the length just like I did on the easier cuts. All right, so I'm gonna pick it up, transfer it to this black one, line up all the edges, make sure they're perfect. And then use my guide again, and just butt it up to where I want it to go. All right, and line up my edges, make sure they're nice and square. And then this one, since it's easy, and I don't wanna have to mess with tape, I'll just score that one like the others. All right, so put a little score right there. All right, take that off. So now all I got to do is cut that line and then right here and snap that off, and it should slide right into place. Now one thing I was just thinking is I picked up my piece and transferred it to the next one to figure out this length, but if for some reason your wall had like an angle or whatever and it wasn't quite the same length, I suppose you could just lay your guide one right there along this and then just trace along there to find that line. But anyway, I got my piece cut, so we're going to see how it fits. So make sure the shiny side's facing up and lay it in place, and it should fit real nice. Look at that. Pretty sweet. So that was a little bit more complicated cut. Now I'll show you how to do the one around the toilet, which is probably actually a little bit easier than this one. Okay, so now here at the toilet, I need to set a white one right here. So you can see, if I try lining it up, it's right in the way. So similar to the others, I'm gonna lay my white one right here on top of the one next to it. Make sure shiny side's facing up, grain's going in the direction I want. Line it up, all right. I'm gonna take another tile to act as my guide, and I'll lay it down, and what I'm gonna do is take the top edge and I'm gonna line it up to the edge of my cutout for the toilet ring. But I'm also gonna make sure the sides here are lined up. Okay. So I'll mark that. And on this one, I'll go ahead and use tape as well. So it's gonna be right around here. Lift this up so I can stick that back down. Okay. Line it back up. Make sure all my edges are good. All right. I'll trace right here. All right. To figure out the other side, I'm going to take my white tile. Now I'm going to put it over here on this gray tile. All right. And then make sure it's lined up exactly where I want it. Okay. Now take another guide piece. Set it on there, line it up to the edge, and again, I'm going to line it up to the edge of the cutout right here. Make sure my edges are good. Alright, so it's going to go right here, so I'll throw some more tape on there. Just so I can see my lines. It's going to go somewhere around here. I'll move that real quick, tape that down. Alright, put it back. Line up my edge again. Alright, I can trace that. Alright, so that gives me the square where it goes. Then I just have to figure out the circle. So you could either take a measurement of it, or when I cut it out, I actually use the lid of a bucket. So what I'm going to do is take my bucket and just set it on the tile here and just line it up. It's nice and round and meets the edges, and I should be able to trace it and then just cut that out. Like that. Alright, so I got it traced out. I just traced around that lid, made my circle. Now I just have to be real careful when I cut that out, and then I might even slice it kind of like pie shaped and snap them out in pieces. But then when I set it down in there, that should fit right around my ring. That works. I also have to do it to all these other pieces as well. All right, just being real careful. I scored it. Now, there we go. Tore it out. Let's remove my tape. And it should slide right into place. All right, let's check it out. Slide it in. Look at that. Exact fit. It's pretty sweet. So that's pretty much how to cut all the pieces. The really simple ones like that, a little corner like that, and even a little circle. And after they're installed, you're supposed to get a roller, like a 100-pound roller, and roll it around. But I'm not doing that. What I'm just doing is just being real careful, clean pair of socks, make sure not to get glue on. And I'm just kind of walking all the squares to squish them down. Now you don't want to be doing a lot of walking. You don't want to be like, you know, kind of exerting force with both your legs both directions and separating these, because that glue is still kind of a little bit tacky and they could shift around. But it's okay to walk on them just a little bit to install. But once you're done, try to stay off of them, you know, overnight or whatever. But I'll finish this out and I'll show you what the entire floor looks like when it's done. Check it out. Here's the floors all finished and glued down. Look pretty cool. This is a great way to use up leftover tiles. We used every single gray one we had, and we still have at least this many black and white ones, so I don't know what we'll do with them. But we really like this look. It has that cool retro look. It's not necessarily modern, but I don't know, we just kind of like it, that kind of diner look or whatever. And you can kind of see what I was talking about with a diagonal design now, just little stripes and diagonal, almost like a pixelated diagonal or something. But I thought it turned out really cool. It wasn't too difficult to put down. The worst part was, of course, besides cutting, you know, to fit and all that, and recutting a few spots, was just waiting. You put the glue down, you think it's dry, and it's not quite, you have to wait more. One trick I found is I put a fan in here, and I had it, you know, oscillate and blow on it, and I think that sped it up quite a bit. But I finally got them in. It's kind of late tonight, so that's pretty much all the work I'm going to get in on the bathroom today. Tomorrow I'll go through, I'll sweep up the floors, clean them really well, and then I'm going to go around all the seams and see if any of that adhesive has seeped through. And if it has, I'll wipe it down with a rag with a little bit of mineral spirits. And then I'll clean the floors again, do a little mopping, and then I need to put some clear coat on them. And I'll probably put, I think you're supposed to put 2 coats, but I think I might go ahead and put 3 at least. And they dry pretty quickly. You just wipe it on with a sponge. Goes pretty simple. But anyway, that's how I put in these little VCT tiles. These things are really durable, and they look even better with the clear coat. They get a lot glossier. So that's it for today. So thanks for checking out today's video again. It was a little bit frustrating because I thought I was going to knock out all these little things at the beginning, but then I messed up my outlets and my little light switches. I got the wrong thing, so I have to fix that tomorrow. But we finally got the floors in. It was a little bit of a waiting game, but they look really awesome now. So now, after we clear coat them, we can actually start kind of trimming out the place, and it's going to, you know, all the really cool finishing touches are going to start coming up next. So anyway, thanks for checking out this video, and stay tuned for tomorrow. It's going to be pretty cool. Hey, thanks for checking out this video. I really appreciate that. If you liked it, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. That really helps get it out in front of other people that might like to check it out too. And if you haven't subscribed, be sure to do that to keep up with more videos. And if you want to see some other projects I have some here on the screen and down in the description below as well.